Rob, who you trashing?
The Lakers. Come on, Chris. You got to win that game. You can't get all those kind of performances from AD and LeBron and D'Lo and walk away with nothing. A 20-point lead. I get it. Things happen. The NBA is different with threes. You got to seal that game away. And especially because Jamal Murray was so bad. You talked about his shooting, and you didn't get one win in Denver. You could have won both of those games. I mean, you could have. And you didn't get one. I mean, that's a huge turnaround. Excuse me. And I'm trashing the Lakers.
No, Rob, and we talk a lot about in today's NBA, a 20-point lead isn't what it used to be. Here's the thing, though. Last night, the score was 101-99, Rob. Denver only made, they made 8 3-pointers all night. It wasn't like they hit a barrage of threes.
Right. Normally, though, that's what usually brings you back. No,
but that's my point. That it makes it that much worse that the Lakers couldn't hold the 20-point lead. In a game like this where it's 101-99, Rob, where the Lakers scored 59 points in the first half and just 40 in the second half. In a low-scoring game like this, Rob, that 20-point lead really is like an old-school 20-point lead. And that makes it that much worse. In today's NBA, that's like darn near a 30-point lead. Because they didn't do it with the threes. They did it by shutting you down defensively to holding you to 40 points in the second half and just by pounding you, owning the glass, and just beating you in old school team basketball. But anyway, LeBron, I don't know that LeBron truly complained about the refs, but he certainly complained about the replay center. And Joel Embiid, Rob, the Knicks, I think the Philly loss, as bad as the Lakers loss was, and I get it, they gave up a 20-point lead. Philadelphia, Rob, they had that game won. They're up 5 with 47 seconds left, and I get it, that's a lot of time.
That's a lot of time in the NBA, Chris. That's two
But they
threes.
blew it. The way it happened.
No,
you know what I mean?
get it. The inbounds, which they could cry about, and the league has already come back.
Well,
and said that the officials screwed up, and they did, Chris, with the fouls. But where's the inbound? Where's the call a timeout? And that's the other thing. They didn't let Nick Nurse get a timeout, Chris.
Well, here's Joel Embiid talking about it, Rob.
And everybody on the floor was trying to call a timeout, myself included, Nico, coach on the sideline. But they didn't give it to us. But, forget about the timeout. There's a bunch of fouls. That's, like I said, that's unacceptable.
Rob, as you said, the league came out with the 2-minute report and said Tyrese Maxey was fouled twice.
Not once, Chris, twice.
And here, look, I don't like the players complaining about the officiating. I didn't like it last night with Embiid. I'm like, why don't you box out Isaiah Hartenstein after Dante DiVincenzo?
No, there are plays that could have been made too. I'm with you. How about inbounding the ball correctly and not throwing the ball away?
Or even calling, they say they tried to call timeout. But here, I just want to say this, Rob. Why does the league do the 2-minute report?
I don't know.
Do you like? It's
no
fine
need,
for us.
No
I don't
to do it.
No, I don't have an issue with it as a fan because it does
Chris?
give us enlightenment. But what is it? It's not good. It makes your refs look horrible.
The bottom line is, and here's the problem. And I know they got the refs, umpires, all these people, Chris. They got unions and all this. It's hard to fire them. And that's what needs to happen when guys continue to make, and I'm not saying, there should be a certain threshold of accuracy. And when those things come in like that and you blow calls, they should count against you. And you should have the right to let go of officials. And the league should be able to say, Chris, that Joe Blow and Tom Thumb have been relieved of,
Well,
being
you know
referees, but they don't do that. And I think that's what people need to hear.
You don't get to ref in the playoffs and stuff like that.
You need to lose jobs, Chris. You need to lose jobs.
That's fine. I'm just saying, Rob, I don't know what purpose. I don't know that the 2-minute report serves a good purpose. Like, I guess, does that make Philly feel any better?
No.
Or does that actually tick you off? It's not like we're going to play the last minute. You're going to put us up by 5 again and we're going to play the last minute, or Maxi's going to get free throws or whatever. We lost. You're admitting we lost, or, a large portion of why we lost is because the refs screwed up.
Right.
And your 2-minute report's supposed to make me feel better, and it's actually making me feel worse.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't think if you're not going to do anything, which you're not, and you can't do anything. You can't overturn a game. You can't do any of that. People have paid their money. They left the building. You can't, Chris, when they're at home, go.
Could you start the next game, play?
Yeah. You know what? That they lost that game. All that stuff you went through. No, they lost. That game. No, people. If you did that to people, Chris, people would be irate. Like, you can't take that from them. You know what I mean? Once the people leave the building, that's game.
No, I get it. I'm just saying, like, then what? Then why do I remember? Now, this was years ago when they first implemented it. I talked to an official about it, and he was like, "Nah, it's terrible. You're just making us look bad." And I get somebody say, "Well, you made mistakes." Rob, I mean, any job. What if before, at the start of every show, Rob G came out and said every mistake we had made? Nothing's going to change, but, every mistake we had made.
It would take 3 hours and we wouldn't have a show that day.
But, it's just, I don't know. Look, I think the league means well. Remember, there were a lot of conspiracy theories, games fixed, and, and this was part of the answer, right, to be transparent. I get that. But, Rob, if you're not going to change anything, I don't know what the purpose is. I think they meant well, but like I said, if
it's for
Philly
transparency, Chris, to be able to be transparent,
I get it,
and that we can admit that something was wrong. Nobody expects anybody to be perfect. That's not the world, Chris. I've said this to you a million times, and when I was a kid growing up listening to the late great Mets announcer Bob Murphy, every time a player made an error, Chris, he'd say the same thing. That's why they put erasers on pencils, because people make mistakes. So it ain't about that you have to be perfect and you can never make a mistake. But there has to be some accountability to me to after a while, this just isn't a career for you. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a career for you. You just aren't good at
like
this.
I mean, you're looking at it differently than me. I'm not looking at it as an indictment on the refs.
I know you're looking at it as just like it doesn't do anything. Right, it doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But overall, though, Rob, Embiid at one point did say, we're the better team. We should be up 2-0. We're going to win this series. I like that. I think that's the attitude you have to have. You can't, the officials screwed you. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But because the league's not going to do anything about it, you just have to, you got to ignore that. You really have to ignore it. And I didn't like the complaining. Now, did you see LeBron? Here's what LeBron said.
Where's LeBron doing cursing in a press conference, Chris, like that?
That's not new. I mean, I'm not saying he does it all the time, but he's done that before.
Yeah, that was bad.
He was cursing at their victory parade in 2016 in Cleveland when they beat Golden State. But anyway, here's LeBron talking about the replay center last night.
I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest. I think I said it this year or last year or whatever. D'Lo clearly gets hit in the face on a drive. Do we have a replay center if it's going to go? It doesn't make sense to me. It makes no sense to me. It bothers me. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but that is like. And then I just saw what happened with the Sixers Knicks game too. What are we doing?
I think, and LeBron that had nothing to do with the question he was asked, Rob. I think he was sending a message to the officials, trying, remember Phil Jackson and all that, how he would do that. I think that's what he was doing.
Trying to soft soak them so that they could think about it for the next game and all that.
Right. And I also think, he knows his voice among players resonates stronger than anybody's in the league office. So, look, it'll put the league, the replay center, on notice. Look, the replay center, Rob, shouldn't be getting things wrong. They should be getting things right. That's what you exist for.
The replay center, Chris, because they're human beings. We see it on the NFL all the time. They will review plays. If you leave it up to people, even watching tape, they're going to get it wrong sometimes. I've watched football games. I'm like, dude, that's clearly this or clearly that. And then they go to the replay and nothing happens because human beings are watching it. So even humans make mistakes in a replay booth. And that's why I understand why people want to get it right, Chris, or try to get it right. That's why the only way I really believe that you should change calls in sports is when it's obvious. When I watch and the first baseman doesn't have his foot, Chris, on the bag, and they called him out at first, and I see that overturn that. But I don't want all these other things overturned. It should just be clear. You shouldn't have to watch it 20 times, Chris, over and over and over to change a call, right? It should be obvious.
I don't know. My thing is I disagree to some degree because there's so much riding on these games, right? And I get you're right. Human beings aren't going to be infallible. They're going to make mistakes. But I do think, I think there's got to be a time limit, right? It can't be time.
But that's what I'm saying about showing them. And yet they watch it for 5 minutes.
But whatever the limit is, you can't go over that. But you do have to do your best to get it right because there's money for the players, for gamblers, for coaches, jobs are on the line. There's so much matters in these games. And I do think they need to try to get it right.